You know, I never thought I would be so intrigued in watching the show, finding out who the turd burglar is. But here we are. American Vandal is a Netflix original mockumentary. Now, Netflix itself does not call this a mockumentary, and that's to add to the effect of making this seem as real as possible. This might be an embarrassing fact, but I'll be honest, when I first watched this show last year when it premiered in season 1, I made it probably 3/4 of the episode before I actually realized that this wasn't an actual documentary. If you're completely unfamiliar with what this show is, essentially it's kind of a play on true crime documentaries, specifically ones like Making a Murder, Serial, and others that kind of fall within that genre. The gimmick that this one has is it takes such a juvenile issue and it blows it up to proportion and treats it like an actual crime. Season 1 focuses on Dylan Maxwell after he's expelled from high school for being accused of drawing some obscene images on teachers' cars. It was a bunch of penises. So Peter and Sam, who are two other students at this high school, begin making this documentary to try to figure out who actually did it and prove that Dylan is innocent. This show was a major success for Netflix and actually won them a Peabody Award, which is a pretty prestigious award to be given to a show that centers around the drawing of dicks on cars. But season 2 comes out, and the plot is as follows. Peter and Sam now are successful after selling their documentary to Netflix, and they are looking for a new case at another high school. The case they found is the one of the turd burglar. Now, the turd burglar created this Instagram and also launched this event that everyone at the school calls the brownout. During lunch one day in the cafeteria, the turd burglar laced the lemonade with laxatives and caused pretty much everyone in the school to have uncontrollable diarrhea. And let me warn you, the opening scene of this season is very graphic and it's one that will stick in your memory. So here's what I love about this show. As I explained, when I first watched it, I had trouble realizing that this was a joke. They never acknowledged this as a joke, and every single scene is taken with absolute seriousness. Whereas most mockumentaries kind of have one-liners or kind of setup joke, this one doesn't really have a lot of jokes, but the humor comes from the overall premise of what you're watching. You're like watching, you're intrigued by the show, and all of a sudden you sit back and realize, like, wait a minute, the crime was making other students have diarrhea. And the lengths they go to make this a serious case is incredible. Another part of them never acknowledging that this is a joke is the fact that they actually reference season 1 as a school project that they were filming. The first episode of season 2 shows them emailing back and forth to Netflix, selling their documentary, acknowledging how successful they were from Netflix and how Netflix funded and added a lot of new shots to their season. Even the advertisements on Netflix itself always refer to this as a real documentary. And the deeper they go with this joke, the funnier it actually is. Another great thing about this show is it really shows a good, accurate portrayal of what high school life is like. And of course, I'm saying that because I clearly have an idea of what high school is like right now. But the use of social media, texting, Snapchat, emojis, it is very specific to trends that are actually going on in the world right now, especially within high school. On the other side of it though, I do think that may be a fault, because in like 2-3 years, this is going to be dated. The students are constantly using apps like Instagram and Snapchat. They reference when Apple had that bug when it was auto-correcting all the A's and I's. Some more technical terminology is used, like catfishing and code switching. And so it's really a high risk, high reward, because in one sense, yes, the show is going to be dated in just a very short time because trends move very fast. But on the other hand, when you make it that specific, it really affects the way you watch it now because it feels so authentic. Along with the authenticity of the universe that this story is placed in, the actors are actually really incredible. When you see the one-on-one interviews of them describing the brownout and what it was like pooping their pants, and they're saying this all with a straight, mortified look on their face. It's amazing that they didn't just crack up and start laughing while reading these lines. But I really think on top of all that, the best part about this show is not only is it a comedy, but it actually draws you into the mystery. There's a story and a narrative, and one that you want to keep watching just so you can learn the answer. A lot of the themes that they use are a straight parody of crime shows, like I said, Making a Murder and Serial. They'll show real footage from someone's Snapchat. You'll see scenes when the police are interviewing someone and we are watching the actual footage of that interview. They use animation to show text conversations that took place, security footage, reenactments. This show actually goes above and beyond to make this a mystery that you need to keep watching to figure out what goes on. The one downside I did have about this was the ending, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but towards the end of this video I am going to talk about it in case you did watch this and you want to know why I didn't like it. But it's still a great watch. I would say if it wasn't for the ending, I would like season 1 better, but overall season 2 has a much better production value to it, and it makes it feel so much more real than season 1 did. You're gonna love this show if you either like mockumentaries, true crime documentaries, or even if you just like to laugh because it's ridiculous. I'm really hoping that season 3 comes out because this show is honestly golden. Alright, I'm about to jump into spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, turn this off. Go watch the 2 seasons of American Vandal on Netflix. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment below if you have seen the show and what you think of it. And for those who have already seen it, here we go. So one of my favorite parts of season 1 is that the whole season ends and you're still not 100% confident who actually did it. To me, that was a very accurate way that true crime documentaries work. Let's once again say the Netflix original show, Making a Murderer. Since that's based off an actual event, there are still 2 sides to that story and we don't know the truth. And obviously Netflix framed that show to give a narrative to try to show us the side that they want us to believe, but the ending is left up into interpretation, and like most crime cases are, at least the ones that are documented and put on Netflix. And American Vandal season 1 ended like that. It kind of gave this is probably the thing, but we don't actually know for sure. And the thing I didn't like about season 2 is that they literally figured it all out. Now the plot twist was great. The catfishing and how it was 4 different people that committed the crimes and there was actually one person behind it all, but it ended a little too perfectly. Like, I wish they would have left some room for our imagination to decide for ourselves what actually happened. Imagine watching Making a Murderer, and then all of a sudden you get to the end and realize who actually committed the murder, and that's it. They just showed us 8 episodes to prove to us who it was. I just wish they would have made it a little more vague like they did in season 1. Honestly, besides that, I loved this show. I really don't have any other spoilers to talk about. That was just the only one, and I needed to explain it. So thanks for sticking around if you've seen the first 2 seasons. Or I could just be talking to no one right now. Either way, you also like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you next time.